First contact. Dr. Zara Xenthal adjusted her perception filters as she stepped out of her cloaked ship onto the lush grass of a secluded Earth park. The alien anthropologist's slender, iridescent form shimmered briefly before taking on a passable human appearance. Her mission was clear: study the primitive reproductive practices of humans, a species whose erratic behavior and emotional volatility had long puzzled the Galactic Confederation. Zara's people, the Extraterrestrials, had long ago transcended the need for physical reproduction. They considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution, having done away with messy biological processes in favor of efficient energy transference and consciousness uploading. Earth, with its teeming billions of emotionally driven organisms, was seen as a curious anomaly in the galaxy. As she made her way through the park, Zara observed the humans around her. Couples strolled hand in hand, families picnicked on checkered blankets, and children chased each other with gleeful shrieks. All of it seemed chaotic and inefficient to her analytical mind. Her attention was drawn to a young couple seated on a nearby bench. The male presented the female with a small box, and upon opening it, the female's eyes widened with joy. She slipped a glittering object onto her finger, then threw her arms around the male, pressing her lips to his. Zara's sensory implants went into overdrive, detecting a surge of neurochemicals and hormones in both humans. Fascinating, she thought. But what purpose could such a ritual serve? As she continued her observations, Zara found herself both perplexed and intrigued by the myriad ways humans interacted. Their constant need for physical contact, the varied tones of their vocalizations, the inexplicable moisture that sometimes appeared in their eyes, all of it defied logical explanation. Lost in her thoughts, Zara didn't notice the frisbee hurtling towards her until it was too late. The plastic disc struck her squarely in the forehead, causing her to stumble backward. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." A tall, athletic human male jogged up to her, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay?" Zara blinked, her perception filters struggling to process the sudden impact. "I am functional," she managed to reply. The human chuckled, a sound that sent an odd vibration through Zara's auditory receptors. "Well, that's a relief. I'm Jack, by the way. Jack Chen. Let me buy you a coffee to make up for almost decapitating you with a frisbee." Zara hesitated. Direct interaction with a human hadn't been part of her initial research plan, but the opportunity to gather first-hand data was too valuable to pass up. "Very well," she said. "I am Sarah." She chose a name close to her own, hoping it would be easier to remember. As they walked to a nearby cafe, Zara surreptitiously scanned Jack. His vital signs indicated he was in peak physical condition, and his pheromone levels suggested he was unmated, a prime specimen for her reproduction studies. Once seated with their beverages, Zara had mimicked Jack's order. Unsure of what coffee actually was, she decided to begin her inquiry. "Jack," she said, her voice carefully modulated to sound casual, "I am conducting research on human mating practices. Would you be willing to provide information on your reproductive activities?" Jack nearly choked on his coffee. "Excuse me," he sputtered, eyes wide. Zara tilted her head, confused by his reaction. Is this not an appropriate topic of discussion? I observed many couples in the park engaging in what appeared to be preliminary mating behaviors. I assumed humans were open about such matters. Jack's face had turned an interesting shade of red. "Oh, wow, that's pretty forward. Look, Sarah, I don't usually discuss my reproductive activities with strangers. Maybe we could start with something a little less personal." Zara made a mental note of the human's discomfort. Clearly, her approach needed refinement. "My apologies," she said. "Perhaps you could explain the purpose of the ritual I observed earlier." A male presented a female with a small, shiny object, which seemed to incite a strong emotional response. Jack's expression softened. "Oh, you probably saw a proposal. That shiny object was likely an engagement ring. It's a symbol of commitment between two people who want to spend their lives together." Zara's brow furrowed. Spend their lives together. But humans have such short lifespans. Surely it would be more efficient to mate with multiple partners to ensure genetic diversity. Jack laughed, shaking his head. Wow, Zara, you really aren't from around here, are you? Love and marriage aren't about efficiency. They're about connection, companionship, building a life with someone who understands you better than anyone else. Love. There was that concept again. Zara had encountered it in her preliminary research, but its true meaning remained elusive. This love, it serves a reproductive function. It can, Jack said, a thoughtful expression on his face. But it's so much more than that. Love it's the thing that makes us human, you know. It's what drives us to create art, to explore the universe, to be better than we are. Zara felt a strange sensation in her chest, almost like her energy core was fluctuating. She ran a quick diagnostic, but all her systems appeared to be functioning normally. What was this curious effect the human's words were having on her? As the conversation continued, Zara found herself captivated by Jack's passion and eloquence. He spoke of human achievements, art, music, scientific discoveries, all apparently driven by this mysterious force called love. It defied logic, and yet, there was something undeniably powerful about it. Hours passed, and the sun began to set. Zara realized with a start that she had spent far more time with Jack than she had intended. Her initial mission, to study human reproduction, had somehow evolved into a far more complex exploration of human nature itself. As they parted ways, Jack smiled warmly at her. This was unexpected, but really nice. Would you like to meet again sometime, Zara? Zara felt that strange flutter in her chest again. I would find that agreeable, she heard herself say. Walking back to her hidden ship, Zara's mind raced with new questions and observations. She had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species driven by base biological imperatives. Instead, she had encountered beings of profound complexity and depth. As she prepared her initial report for Galactic Confederation, Zara hesitated. How could she possibly convey the nuances of what she had learned? How could she explain the way Jack's eyes had lit up when he spoke of human achievements, or the inexplicable warmth she'd have felt in his presence? For the first time in her existence, Zara found herself questioning the superiority of her own species. The Extraterrestrials had evolved beyond the need for physical reproduction, yes, but in doing so, had they lost something essential? As she gazed out at the twinkling lights of the human city, Zara made a decision. Her mission parameters would need to be expanded. There was far more to learn about humans than she had ever imagined, and she was determined to understand it all, especially this mysterious, powerful force they called love. Little did Zara know that her journey of discovery was only just beginning, and that her encounters with humanity would challenge everything she thought she knew about life, the universe, and her own place within it. The emotional frontier. Dr. Zara Xenthal stood before the glowing holographic display in her hidden ship, her iridescent skin shimmering with agitation. The data from her first week on Earth scrolled before her eyes, a chaotic jumble of observations that defied her every attempt at logical categorization. Computer, she said, her voice tinged with frustration, analyze human mating rituals and compare to known galactic species. The ship's AI hummed softly. Analysis complete. Human mating rituals show 99.8% deviation from all known sentient species. Anomalies include non-reproductive intimacy, pair bonding without genetic optimization, and the phenomenon designated as love. Zara's antenna twitched. Impossible. Run the analysis again. Secondary analysis confirms initial results, the AI replied. Addendum. Human reproductive practices appear to be intrinsically linked to emotional states. Recommendation. Further study required. Zara sank into her biometric chair, her mind reeling. In all her years as a xenanthropologist, she had never encountered a species so confounding. The human's obsession with pair bonding and this mysterious love seemed to fly in the face of evolutionary logic. And yet, She couldn't shake the memory of her conversation with Jack. The warmth in his eyes, the passion in his voice when he spoke of human achievements. It stirred something within her, something she couldn't quantify or analyze. A sudden alert from her ship's sensors interrupted her reverie. Warning: unusual electromagnetic activity detected in nearby human dwelling. Curious, Zara activated her cloaking device and made her way to the source of the disturbance. As she approached a modest apartment building, her senses picked up an intense concentration of electrical impulses emanating from one of the units. Peering through the window, she saw a sight that made her gasp. A human female lay on a bed, her abdomen swollen to an alarming size. Around her, a group of humans bustled about in a frenzy of activity, and there in the center of it all was Jack. Zara watched in fascination as the events unfolded. The female's face contorted in what appeared to be extreme discomfort, yet the other humans offered words of encouragement. Jack held her hand, his face a mix of concern and something else, something Zara couldn't quite identify. And then, amidst a flurry of movement and a crescendo of voices, a new sound filled the air, the cry of an infant. Zara's sensory implants went into overdrive as she witnessed the arrival of a new human. But it was the reactions of the adults that truly captivated her. Tears flowed freely, laughter mingled with sobs, and an almost palpable wave of joy filled the room. As she watched Jack cradle the tiny being, his face alight with an emotion so powerful it seemed to radiate from him, Zara felt something shift within her. A strange ache loomed in her chest, accompanied by an inexplicable moisture in her eyes. Overwhelmed, she retreated to her ship, her mind a whirlwind of new questions and unfamiliar sensations. "Computer," she said, her voice trembling slightly. What is this feeling?" The air was silent for a moment. Insufficient data for analysis. Anomaly detected in primary emotions center. Recommend immediate diagnostic. But Zara knew no diagnostic would explain what she had just experienced. She had come to Earth to study human reproduction, expecting to find a simple biological process. Instead, she had witnessed something profound, something that defied her understanding of life itself. As the night wore on, Zara found herself unable to focus on her research. Instead, her thoughts kept returning to the scene she had witnessed, the pain, the joy, the inexplicable beauty of new life entering the world. The next morning, driven by a compulsion she couldn't explain, Zara made her way back to the apartment. She hesitated at the door, her hand poised to knock. What was she doing? This wasn't part of her mission. It wasn't logical. It wasn't. The door swung open, revealing a tired but beaming Jack. "Sarah," he exclaimed, genuine warmth in his voice. "What a surprise. Come in, come in." Before she could formulate a response, Zara found herself ushered into the apartment. And there, on the couch, sat the female from last night, cradling the tiny new human in her arms. "Sarah, this is my sister, Emily, and her new daughter, Hope," Jack said, his voice filled with pride. Emily looked up, her face glowing despite obvious fatigue. "Would you like to hold her?" she asked, offering the bundle to Zara. Panic flared within Zara. Hold it? But she wasn't equipped for. Her protests died on her lips as the tiny being was placed in her arms. She looked down into Hope's face, marveling at the perfection of her tiny features. And then, Hope opened her eyes. In that moment, as those new eyes gazed up at her with innocent wonder, Zara felt something inside her shift. The universe seemed to hold its breath, and in the depths of her being, a spark ignited, small, but undeniable. "She's beautiful," Zara whispered, surprised to find her voice choked with emotion. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder, and Zara felt a warmth spread through her at his touch. "Yeah," he said softly, "she really is." As she stood there, surrounded by this human family, cradling new life in her arms, Zara realized that her mission had irrevocably changed. She had come to Earth to study human reproduction, but she found herself on the brink of a much greater discovery, one that promised to reshape not just her understanding of humans, but of life, love, and her own place in the cosmos. Little did she know that this moment, this connection, would soon be tested in ways she could never have imagined, as both her world and the human world faced a challenge that would either tear them apart or forge an unbreakable bond. Cosmic convergence. The skies over Earth crackled with an otherworldly energy, casting an eerie purple glow across the planet. Dr. Zara Zenthal stood atop a skyscraper, her true alien form shimmering as she dropped her human disguise. Beside her, Jack Chen stared wide-eyed at the apocalyptic scene unfolding before them. "Zara," Jack whispered, still coming to terms with her true identity, "what's happening?" Zara's antennae quivered as she processed the data streaming through her advanced senses. "It's a hyperdimensional rift, Jack. My people's greatest fear has come to pass." In the months since Zara had first arrived on Earth, her mission had evolved far beyond its original scope. She had immersed herself in human culture, forming deep bonds with Jack and his family. But now, as an unprecedented crisis threatened both their worlds, Zara found herself caught between two realities. Massive tentacled creatures emerge from swirling vortexes in the sky, their otherworldly shrieks sending shockwaves across the city. Panic erupted in the streets below as humans fled in terror. "These beings exist beyond conventional space-time," Zara explained, her voice tight with urgency. "They feed on the emotional energy of sentient species. My people, the Extraterrestrials, nearly fell to them millennia ago. We survived by suppressing our emotions, becoming purely logical beings." Jack's eyes widened in understanding. "That's why you were so confused by human emotions when you first arrived." Zara nodded, a sad smile playing on her lips. "Yes, but now I see that in our quest for survival, we lost something precious. Something that might be the key to defeating these creatures once and for all." As if on cue, a massive tentacle whipped towards them. Jack grabbed Zara's hand and pulled her to safety, the air crackling where they had stood moments before. "We need to get to my ship," Zara said, her heart racing in a very un-Extraterrestrial way at Jack's touch. "It has technology that might help us fight back." They raced through the chaotic streets, dodging debris and panicked civilians. Zara marveled at the humans around her. Despite the terror, she saw acts of bravery and compassion everywhere. Strangers helping each other, first responders rushing into danger. When they reached Zara's hidden ship, they found Emily clutching baby Hope, seeking shelter near the cloaked vessel. "Jack, Zara, or whoever you are," Emily cried, relief washing over her face. "What's going on?" As they hurried inside the ship, Zara quickly explained the situation. Her fingers flew over the controls, bringing the ship's advanced systems online. "I'm sending a distress signal to my people," Zara said, "but I fear their response may be extreme." Jack looked at her quizzically. "What do you mean?" Zara's expression darkened. "The Extraterrestrial High Council might decide to neutralize the threat by eliminating its food source, all emotion-producing life on Earth." The humans gasped in horror. Baby Hope began to cry, her wails echoing through the ship's cabin. Suddenly, Zara's console lit up with an incoming transmission. The stern face of the Extraterrestrial High Chancellor filled the screen. "Researcher Zenthal," the Chancellor's cold voice reverberated through the ship. "We've received your alert. Our fleet is en route to eradicate the human infestation and seal the dimensional rift. You are ordered to terminate your study and return immediately." Zara felt a surge of emotion she had never experienced before, righteous anger. "Chancellor, you can't. The humans are not an infestation. They're a sentient species with a right to exist. Their emotions aren't a weakness. They're a strength we've forgotten." The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. "You've been compromised, Zenthal. Your prolonged exposure to human irrationality has clouded your judgment. The extinction protocol will commence in 6 Earth hours." As the transmission cut off, a heavy silence fell over the ship's cabin. Jack placed a hand on Zara's shoulder, his touch sending a warmth through her that defied the cold logic of her upbringing. "What can we do?" he asked softly. Zara turned to face the small group of humans who had become more important to her than she ever thought possible. In Emily's arms, hope had quieted, her innocent eyes gazing up at the alien who had come to love her as family. In that moment, Zara made a decision that would alter the fate of two civilizations. "We fight," she said, her voice filled with a determination that surprised even her. "Not with weapons or technology, but with the very thing that makes humans unique in the galaxy, your capacity for love, hope, and unbridled emotion." Emily stepped forward, cradling hope close. "But how can our emotions stop those monsters out there, let alone an alien fleet?" Zara's eyes gleamed with a plan forming in her mind. The interdimensional beings feed on emotion, yes, but they've never encountered anything like the complexity and intensity of human feelings. And as for my people, she paused, a sad smile playing on her lips. Perhaps it's time for the Extraterrestrials to remember what it means to feel. Jack squeezed Zara's hand, a gesture that sent a thrill through her entire being. "Whatever your plan is, we're with you." As Zara began to outline her daring strategy, she marveled at the strange twists of fate that had brought her to this moment. She had come to Earth as a detached observer, seeking to study human reproduction. Instead, she found herself at the heart of a battle for the very soul of two civilizations, armed with the most powerful force in the universe, one she had only just begun to understand. With the clock ticking and the fate of Earth hanging in the balance, Zara, Jack, and a small band of humans prepared to unleash the full power of human emotion against the cosmic horrors that threatened their world. Little did they know that their actions would not only decide the fate of Earth, but trigger a transformation that would ripple across the galaxy, redefining the very nature of sentient existence. Emotional resonance. The air crackled with tension as Zara's ship soared through the chaos-filled skies of Earth. Inside, an unlikely team of humans, and one alien worked feverishly to implement a plan that defied conventional logic. "Zara, are you sure this will work?" Jack asked, his hands flying over a console she had hastily taught him to operate. Zara's iridescent skin shimmered with determination. "Honestly, no. But it's the only chance we've got." Their plan was audacious, to amplify and broadcast human emotions across the planet and into space, creating an emotional resonance field that would overwhelm the interdimensional invaders and potentially awaken long-dormant feelings in the Extraterrestrial fleet. Emily cradled baby Hope, who gurgled happily, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding around her. "So, what do we do? Just feel really hard?" Zara nodded, a wry smile playing on her lips. "Essentially, yes. But not just any emotions. We need the most powerful, complex feelings humans are capable of. Love, hope, compassion, even righteous anger. The full spectrum of what makes you human." As the ship positioned itself at the epicenter of the dimensional rift, Zara activated a series of devices she had cobbled together from her advanced technology and scavenged human electronics. "All right," she said, her voice tight with anticipation. "When I give the signal, I need each of you to focus on the strongest emotion you can muster. Think of what you're fighting for, what Earth means to you." Jack reached out and took Zara's hand, causing her to gasp softly at the intensity of the connection. "And what about you?" he asked gently. Zara felt a flutter in her chest that her Extraterrestrial training couldn't suppress. I'll be thinking of you, all of you, and how you've shown me what it truly means to be alive." Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Outside, a massive tentacled creature loomed, its otherworldly form distorting the very fabric of reality. "Now," Zara shouted, activating the emotional amplifier. The humans closed their eyes, concentrating with all their might. Jack thought of his love for his family, his friends, and the alien who had stolen his heart. Emily focused on the fierce, protective love she felt for her daughter. And baby Hope, sensing the gravity of the moment, let out a peal of pure, joyous laughter. Zara felt a surge of emotion so powerful it nearly overwhelmed her. Years of Extraterrestrial conditioning crumbled as she opened herself fully to the love she felt for these remarkable humans and the beautiful, chaotic world they called home. The ship's instruments crackled and whined as waves of pure emotional energy pulsed outward. The interdimensional beings recoiled, their forms writhing as they were bombarded with feelings beyond their comprehension. In orbit, the approaching Extraterrestrial fleet faltered. Ship after ship reported systems malfunctions as the emotional resonance field washed over them, awakening long-dormant neural pathways and flooding the logical minds of the crew with long-forgotten feelings. Back on Earth, something extraordinary began to happen. As Zara's emotional amplifier broadcast the concentrated feelings across the globe, humans everywhere found themselves overcome with a sense of universal connection. Age-old conflicts were forgotten as people reached out to help one another, their hearts swelling with newfound empathy and compassion. The interdimensional rift pulsed and swirled, the creatures caught between retreating to their own realm and being drawn to the irresistible emotional feast before them. But the sheer complexity and intensity of human emotion proved too much. With a reality-bending shriek, the invaders were pulled back through the rift, which slowly began to close. In Zara's ship, the small group watched in awe as their plan unfolded on a planetary scale. Tears streamed down Jack and Emily's faces, while Zara experienced the novel sensation of her own eyes welling up with emotion. Just as it seemed victory was within reach, a new threat loomed. The Extraterrestrial flagship, apparently shielded from the emotional resonance, broke through the atmosphere on a direct course for Zara's position. Rebel researcher Xenthal, the High Chancellor's voice boomed through the communications system. "Your betrayal ends now. Surrender immediately, or we will have no choice but to eliminate you and your human companions." Zara stood tall, her body trembling not with fear, but with a righteous determination she had never known before. "Chancellor," she replied, her voice steady and clear, "I ask you, one last time, to open yourself to what I've discovered here. The humans are not a threat to be eliminated. They are the key to our own salvation." She nodded to Jack, who adjusted the emotional amplifier to focus directly on the Extraterrestrial ship. Zara took a deep breath and poured every ounce of her newfound emotion into her words. "My fellow Extraterrestrials," she began, her voice carried on waves of pure feeling. "I stand before you not as a traitor, but as someone who has rediscovered what we lost so long ago. In our quest for perfect logic, we forgot the very thing that makes life worth living. Open your hearts, remember what it means to feel, to love, to hope." As Zara spoke, the emotional resonance field intensified. In the Extraterrestrial ship, crew members began to gasp and cry out as long-buried emotions surfaced. The High Chancellor himself fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the onslaught of feeling. In a blinding flash of light, the dimensional rift finally sealed itself, leaving behind a sky cleared of otherworldly invaders. The Extraterrestrial fleet hung motionless in orbit, its crew forever changed by the experience. As the dust settled and the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds, Zara turned to her human companions, her eyes shining with tears of joy and wonder. "We did it," she whispered, pulling Jack, Emily, and baby Hope into a tight embrace. "And in saving your world, I think we may have saved mine as well." As news of the extraordinary events spread across the globe, humanity found itself entering a new era of unity and understanding. And high above, the Extraterrestrial fleet prepared to return home, carrying with them a precious cargo of rediscovered emotion and a new appreciation for the power of the human heart. Zara looked out at the world she had come to love, marveling at the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had arrived seeking to study human reproduction, but in the end, she had helped give birth to a new chapter in the story of two civilizations. As Jack's hand slipped into hers, Zara realized that her greatest adventure, understanding the full depths of human emotion, was only just beginning. Cosmic harmony. 1 year after the interdimensional crisis, Earth had become a beacon of hope in the galaxy. The planet pulsed with a newfound energy, its inhabitants united by the shared experience of cosmic awakening. Dr. Zara Zenthal stood atop the newly constructed Harmony Spire in New Tokyo, marveling at how much had changed, both for humanity and for herself. Dr. Zenthal, we're ready to begin the broadcast, a young human assistant said, snapping Zara out of her reverie. She nodded, her iridescent skin shimmering with anticipation. Thank you, Akara. Let's make history. Today marked the inaugural transmission of the Emotional Resonance Network, ERN, a groundbreaking project that would connect Earth with the reformed Extraterrestrial society and other alien civilizations across the galaxy. It was the culmination of a year's worth of collaboration between humans and aliens, a testament to the power of empathy and shared understanding. As Zara made her way to the broadcast center, she passed holographic displays showcasing the incredible advancements of the past year. Empathic technology revolutionizes healthcare. Emotional AI brings breakthrough in interspecies communication. Global conflict drops by 78% as emotional intelligence curriculum goes worldwide. The doors slid open, revealing a state-of-the-art studio filled with a mix of human and alien technicians. At the center stood Jack, looking dashing in a sleek suit designed for the occasion. His face lit up as he saw Zara approach. "Ready for our cosmic debut?" he asked, giving her hand a squeeze. Zara felt the now familiar flutter in her chest. Even after a year, the intensity of her feelings for Jack never ceased to amaze her. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied with a smile. They took their positions behind a circular console, its surface alive with swirling patterns of light. Emily joined them, balancing a toddling Hope on her hip. The child gurgled happily, her innocent joy a reminder of why their mission was so crucial. ERN transmission commencing in 3, 2, 1. Akira's voice counted down. Zara took a deep breath and began to speak, her words carried on waves of emotional resonance that would ripple across the cosmos. "Greetings, sentient beings of the galaxy. I am Dr. Zara Zenthal, and beside me stands Jack Chen. We come to you today not just as representatives of our respective species, but as living proof that understanding and connection can bridge even the vastest of divides." Jack continued, his voice warm and strong. "1 year ago, our worlds faced a threat that nearly destroyed us all. But in our darkest hour, we discovered a power greater than any weapon or advanced technology, the power of emotion, empathy, and love." As they spoke, the ERN came to life. Across Earth, humans gathered around holoscreens, their hearts and minds opening to send messages of peace and goodwill into the stars. On Australia, the once stoic population watched in wonder, feeling the stirrings of long-forgotten emotions. But the broadcast reached far beyond their two worlds. On distant planets, alien civilizations paused in their daily routines, captivated by the strange yet enticing emotional signals emanating from a small blue world. Zara and Jack took turns explaining the incredible journey of the past year, how humans and Australians had worked together to harness the power of emotional resonance, developing technologies that could heal wounds, both physical and psychological, at an astonishing rate. "We've learned that emotions are not a weakness to be suppressed," Zara said, her eyes shining with passion. "They are the very essence of what makes life worth living. Through understanding and embracing our feelings, we've unlocked potential we never knew existed." As they spoke, the ERN's sensors detected a growing response from across the galaxy. Alien civilizations, intrigued by this new form of communication, began to reciprocate, sending their own emotional signatures back to Earth. Suddenly, the studio erupted in excited chatter as the technicians registered an unprecedented spike in the ERN's readings. "We're receiving a transmission from the Andromeda Galaxy," Akira exclaimed, her eyes wide with disbelief. A shimmer of light coalesced in the center of the studio, taking the form of a being unlike anything they had ever seen. Its body seemed to be composed of pure energy, shifting and swirling with colors beyond human perception. "Greetings, children of Earth and Australia." The being's thoughts resonated directly in their minds. We are the luminary, guardians of emotional wisdom. For eons, we have watched and waited for a species to unlock the true power of sentient feeling. Today, you have proven yourselves ready for the next stage of cosmic evolution. The studio fell silent, everyone present aware that they were witnessing a moment that would forever change the course of history. The luminary continued, its form pulsing with what could only be described as joy. The emotional resonance network you have created is but the first step. We invite you to join a grand cosmic harmony, a symphony of feeling that spans the universe itself. As the implications of this invitation sank in, Zara felt a surge of emotion so powerful it brought tears to her eyes. She turned to Jack, seeing her own wonder and excitement reflected in his face. "We accept your invitation with open hearts and minds," Zara said, her voice trembling with emotion. "And we extend our own invitation to every sentient being receiving this transmission. Join us in this new era of understanding, growth, and universal connection." The luminary's form brightened, filling the studio with a warm, comforting light. Then let the cosmic symphony begin. In that moment, the ERN expanded beyond anything its creators had imagined. Earth became a nexus point for a galaxy-wide network of emotional exchange. Beings from countless worlds shared their joys, sorrows, hopes, and dreams, creating a tapestry of feeling that transcended the barriers of language and physiology. As the broadcast concluded, Zara and Jack stood hand in hand, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what had just occurred. Emily wiped tears from her eyes as Hope reached out toward the fading image of the luminary, her young mind already opening to the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. "Well," Jack said, a grin spreading across his face, "I guess your mission to study human reproduction took a bit of an unexpected turn." Zara laughed, the sound filled with pure joy. "Indeed it did. I came seeking to understand one aspect of humanity, but instead, I found the key to unlocking the greatest potential of all sentient life." As they left the studio, stepping out into a world forever changed, Zara marveled at the journey that had brought her to this point. She had arrived on Earth as a detached observer, convinced of her own species' superiority. Now she stood as a bridge between worlds, her heart full of love for the humans who had taught her the true meaning of existence. The sun set on this historic day, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. As darkness fell, the stars seemed to shine brighter than ever before, a glittering reminder of the countless worlds now connected in a network of empathy and understanding. Zara looked up at the night sky, then back at Jack, Emily, and Hope, a family. She thought of the Extraterrestrials, the luminary, and all the beings across the cosmos who were now part of this grand emotional symphony. In that moment, Dr. Zara Zenfel, once a logical observer of human reproduction, now a catalyst for universal harmony, understood the greatest truth of all: love, in all its beautiful, chaotic complexity, was the most powerful force in the universe, and humanity, with its capacity for deep feeling and unwavering hope, would lead the way into a new era of cosmic enlightenment. As she embraced her loved ones under the starry sky, Zara knew that their greatest adventure was just beginning. The universe awaited, pulsing with the infinite possibilities of a reality where emotion and logic, heart and mind, finally existed in perfect balance.